And now we are going to learn about setting the tone for your soul with Reverend Vera McNally.
Good morning. And like Tress said, what a beautiful morning, nice and sunny, and yeah, this is called camping weather. Heck, I'd even camp in the rain. All right. Well, good morning, beautiful souls. So nice to see everybody here on this wonderful day. Let's just take a moment and take a deep breath and let it go. And let's begin with an opening treatment. And if you choose, you can close your eyes. Join me now as we know that there is one infinite present, one divine life that flows through all of creation. The infinite present is the life that breathes in me, that encourages every expression of my being. It is a sacred moment, and I turn my attention inward. I become still, and I remember the truth of who I am. I am anchored in divine presence. I am guided by infinite wisdom. I am held in perfect love. Today, I consciously set the time for my soul with calm, with trust, and inner alignment. My thoughts are anchored in truth. My heart is open in love, and my spirit rests in harmony. I am grateful for the steady guidance of Spirit moving me forward with grace and ease. As I know these words to be true for myself, I know this to be true for each and every one here. I release these words into the law, knowing that it is done, and so it is. So today I want to invite us into a gentle but powerful inquiry, one that doesn't ask us to fix ourselves, to improve ourselves, or to become something different. Instead, I ask us to become more conscious of how we are meeting life. How do we look at life when we get up in the morning? When things are stressful, when things are going crazy in our lives. Right now we're in the middle of renovating. And talk about stressful. So I had said to Lauren, I said, you know what? I said, I can't handle this. I said, I can't go in my meditation room. I said, everything's all over. I can't find anything and stuff. And he turns around and he says, well, that's because you're used to living in a box. I said, a box? What are you talking about, a box? He said, well, how long have you lived in your van? Everything was in a perfect spot. So I could sit on my bed in my van, and all I had to do is just turn this way, and I could reach something, or turn that way and reach something, or lean this way, or lean that way, or everything was right handy, so I didn't have to worry about where anything was. However, if one thing was out of place, everything seemed chaotic, right, Joyce? Yeah. So living in a van has been fun, and so I just had to kind of step back into living in that beautiful little box and my little surroundings and stuff. And so I know I'm going to get through this renovation sooner or later. But so the theme for today is setting the tone for your soul. So I had to set that tone. I had to get grounded. I had to say this is going to be okay, and how beautiful it's going to be after it's done. So think about music for a moment. When a musician tunes an instrument, they don't know the sympathy right away. They don't know the song and all the chords and everything that goes with it. They adjust. They bring the instrument into harmony by practicing. And if the tone is off at the beginning, the piece suffers, the music suffers. And no matter how skilled the musician is, if they haven't tuned that, be it piano or whatever they're using, the tone is off, right? So they practice and they bring it back into harmony. Think about painting a picture. The paints are selected, you got your easel, everything's up there, and you're ready to go. But the painter has no idea what they're going to paint. I know for me, the same thing when I go to paint a wall. I'm not sure what color it's going to be. I have to sit there and really think about it, right? So you're going to paint a picture. What color? What's the idea? What are you going to paint? So the canvas will remain blank until the painter has set an idea, an intention into motion. And then the first brush stroke influences the painting, and you start, and then all of a sudden that flow is right there. What about an author writing a book? How many times have we even sat down to even write a letter or to write something, and the page is blank, and you're sitting there? What's the idea coming? So you set the tone. You set that intention of what's going to flow out onto paper. And sometimes it might be days before you start and write something, right? And in the same way, our inner tone we carry sets the direction of our day, our relationships, and our experience of life itself. So setting the tone for your soul is not forcing positivity or denying reality. It is consciously choosing the inner climate from which we live. You choose. You choose how you set the tone for how you're going to live in every moment. Not every day, in every moment, because we breathe daily. Every second we're doing some kind of breath work just to stay alive. So we set that tone. Metaphysically speaking, setting the tone is about choice. You choose. What am I tuning into? Think about that one. What am I agreeing with? What am I letting shape my inner world? Like chaos in renovating. Ernest Holmes states that life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. Not what we hope occasionally, but what we consistently hold as the atmosphere of our consciousness. And that atmosphere, that tone, is powerful. Your soul has a natural tone. It's a tone of peace, of wholeness, of love, and of wisdom. But that tone can get covered up by busyness. How many times do we get so busy in our lives, like Edith had said to us today, that we got so busy in life that in the last 2 years that she had to demonstrate time at home? What about fear? Does that cover up your tone, your intention? But the noise of the world can consistently ask us to prove, to fix, and to strive. But spiritual wisdom, both ancient and modern, reminds us that while we may not always control what happens, we do have a say in how we meet it. Apostle Paul writes in Romans 12:2, do not be confronted to this world, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Now that's a powerful statement. If you take nothing away today, let me repeat that. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Notice what he does not say. He does not say, change the world, and then you'll be at peace. Very important. Ernest Holmes echoes the same truth when he writes, we do not have to wait for the world to change before we are at peace. And that's the beauty of this teaching, because it's all internal, so we choose. Setting the tone for the soul is not about denial or pretending things are fine. It's about choosing the inner atmosphere from which we respond. Setting the tone for the soul is not about adding something new. It's about remembering what's already true. And Jesus said it simply, the kingdom of God is within you. Right here, right in your heart. It's within you. And we're always setting the tone, whether we realize it or not. When we wake up in the morning, something is already humming beneath the surface. Are you jumping out of bed in a rush? Sometimes I do, because I need that coffee, especially if I didn't sleep last night. Is it gratitude? Are you grateful? Are you grateful to get up and just take that first morning breath with the sun coming in, or it's raining, or it's snowing, even if it's cold? Is it worry? Do you get up worry about things? Is it trust? Do you trust that today is going to work out perfect, just perfectly? And what about a tone we allow tends to organize their experience? So really on the same day, two people can experience the same thing, the same weather, hear the same news, live the same circumstances, and have completely different realities. Like people complain about the weather. Oh, it's snowing out and it's cold and, and what are we going to do? Well, what are you going to do? When I tell people I go camping in the winter, they think I'm out of my mind. What? Camping in the winter? Well, how do you camp in the winter? Well, you just dress really warm. Make sure you have a shovel where you're going, because I can guarantee you're going to have a shovel out, a little bit of a pathway and stuff. Bring your wood, have a fire, have a wiener roast. Invite friends to come on over and join you. But camping is, come on. I was looking at the weather here, watching the weather, and it said at first it's going to be 1-2 degrees during the daytime, maybe -3 or 4 in the evening. And I thought, oh, that's perfect camping weather. And then today got up and we're having coffee, and Lauren says, hey, I was looking at the temperature, and he said, you want to go camping? And I said, don't tell me it's going to get colder. He said, no. He said, it's going to be +7. Sign me up. I'm gone. So I'm going to head out camping. Not sure if it's going to be Crimson Lake or McLean Creek, but I'm going. And yes, I will have my warm boots and everything else and stuff. And whoever wants to join me, I'll let everybody know where I'm going. You can come and join me. So different realities. We all see through our own eyes and how we see it. So choose how you're going to see it. When we hear the news on TV or radio, wherever we hear the news, and some people just say, oh, this is just so terrible what's going on in the world. And then somebody will say, yeah, but did you hear about that peace walk those monks are doing? That's remarkable. They're going all the way from, was it Texas to Washington, D.C.? And some of them were barefoot. And they're walking. And they're smiling. And they're just taking out handouts for whatever, they're like flowers or food or whatever. They're just going with whatever they have. Whatever they have on their person, and they're walking. How powerful is that? So we can see that there is bad in the world. We see there's negativity in the world. But look at all the beauty that's coming out of it as well. You choose. What do you see? If your soul is out of tune, if you're rushed, you're contracted, you're fearful and distracted, then even good things can feel very heavy. But when your soul is in tune to the truth, to the divine presence and love, even challenges are met with grace. That's tone, not denial. Setting the tone for your soul is not a one-time decision. It's a spiritual practice, a practice of returning again and again, and a practice of choosing again. Ernest Holmes said, we do not need more willpower. We need more awareness. We do not need more willpower. We need more awareness. Because awareness gives us choice, and choice is where freedom lives. And I want to live in that freedom. I want my heart to feel that freedom and that love. You often hear that mornings are the best time to set our spiritual tone, and they are. However, there are times when life gets really busy and we forget to set the tone for the day. And that's okay, because you can reset that tone any time of the day by simply pausing, taking a deep breath, and reset. That's the freedom. You can reset your tone anywhere, in the car, in your kitchen, in the middle of even a conversation that you're having that might be difficult, in the middle of a mistake. Right now, in this very moment, right here, right now, you can set your tone. Proverbs 23:7 reminds us, as a person thinks in his heart, so are they. Our inner tone becomes our outer experience. Tone is set by intention, not force. So when you walk into a room angry, the room feels it. People in that room can feel when you walk in that room, if you're upset, you don't even have to scowl. You can have this smile on your face and walk in, but inside you're just seething. People can pick it up, and so can the room. But when you walk in grounded and you're calm, other people around soften. The room softens. and something shifts in that room. How many times have people walked into, even when you're going shopping, and sometimes you walk in, it just feels ucky, it just, so heavy, and people are stressed, and so at that moment, you can accept that energy, or you can reset your tone and send out that love to everybody else that needs it, because there's people out there that need us. They need that light that's brewing inside of us, that true essence of who we are, that love. So send it out to them. This is not about blame. It's about empowerment. You are not at the mercy of your moods, your past, or your circumstances. You are a co-creator participating with life itself. So what tone are you carrying? Let's pause and ask ourselves some honest questions. What do I usually bring into my day? Is it urgency or openness? Is it trust or tension? Is it curiosity or control? Setting the tone for the soul is remembering that we are not doing life alone. There is a presence moving with us, through us, and as us. This week I was at Walmart and standing in the checkout line, and of course, you know how when we go shopping, we always figure, we got to go in the line that has the least amount of people with the biggest, smallest baskets, right? Because you've only got 1 or 2 or 3 items. So you walk down, because you don't want to go through the self-checkout. Well, some do, some don't. Depends how much time you have. Anyway, so you're walking up and down and think, well, that one's not going to be too bad, because there's lines up way back there. So guess what? You're in the longest lineup. And somebody needs a price check. So what do you do? And you're sitting there thinking, yeah, always happens to me. So reset the tone. So deep breath and take that breath. So I'm sitting there and just kind of looking around, and there's this beautiful lady standing behind me. And as I'm turning around, looking around and stuff, we both spotted at the same time this magazine. And this magazine was advertising this miracle cream, better than Botox, right? So of course, people were going to read it. Well, we didn't read it. I'm just thinking to myself, I said, wow, that's interesting. And she said, yeah. She said, look at that. She said, you know what? I've never gone to had Botox. And she said, I just use simple cream that I just buy off the counter at Walmart. She said, I don't need that stuff there. And so I said, yeah. I said, you got beautiful. She had beautiful, radiant skin. And I'm thinking, wow, hardly a wrinkle on her face. So I'm thinking, did she really have Botox? Didn't take Botox, or is she really using that Walmart cream? So we got talking a little bit more. And she said, I'm so excited because today is my 90th birthday. She was 90 years old, standing as straight as you can be, like I said, radiant skin, and very, very beautiful soul. And I said, well, happy birthday. I said, that's absolutely wonderful. And she said, yeah, it is. She said, I'm 90. She said, I'm able to walk. I'm living my life. She said, but it's a little sad. And I said, that's too bad. I said, well, why? She said, well, I've got macular degenerated in her eyes. She said, this is my last day to drive. I said, oh. She said, I love driving. But she said, that's okay. She said, I'm 90. I've driven for many, many years. I've enjoyed it. She said, but I can still walk. She said, I don't live very far from here. She said, I live in a complex. So she said, I can walk to all the stores that are within walking distance and stuff. And she said, I can take a bus. She said, if I want to come to Walmart. She said, I love coming to Walmart. I love coming and watching the people. And she said, I can walk. She said, and if it's cold, she said, I can take a bus. And I said, but it's kind of sad because I understand the driving, because I love to drive. I love to drive. And she said, but you know what? It's sad, but she said, with me not driving, she said, people are safe on the road. I don't have to worry about running anybody over. She said, I don't care about the curves. She says, the people I'm worried about. So she set her tone. At 90 years old, she set her tone. And it's okay that I'm not going to be able to drive because I can't see. How remarkable is that? How many of us would have that same attitude? Not many. But she found the solution without having to be bitter about it. So setting the tone for your soul does not mean nothing difficult will happen. It means difficulty does not become your authority. There are seasons when life feels loud, when the world seems chaotic, demanding, and overwhelming. In those moments, setting the tone for the soul becomes an act of spiritual courage. Ernest Holmes reminds us, peace comes from the inside. It's not dependent on the conditions. We don't have to wait for silence to feel peaceful. We can bring peace into the noise. The peace isn't fragile. It isn't dependent on who agrees with us, what goes right, or how the day unfolds. It is a peace that abides. It is a tone that comes from alignment with spirit. And yes, we will lose the tone sometimes. We will react. We'll worry. We'll forget. We'll get angry. But that's not failure. That's just being human. The practice is never losing the tone. It's how gently we return to it. Ernest Holmes states, there is nothing wrong with us. There is something right with us that we have not yet discovered. I love that statement. It's so powerful. I have it written in my office on the wall. There is nothing wrong with us. There is something right with us that we haven't yet discovered. So look for that perfection in your heart. That's where it sits. So instead of asking what's wrong with me, and how many of us do that? What did I do wrong? How can I be so stupid? How can I let this happen? We're human. We're here for the experience, are we not? So let's ask ourselves, what is trying to emerge through me in this situation? The question alone changes the tone. What is trying to emerge through me in this moment of strife, anger, whatever's going on? Ask that question and allow the answer to flow out. When you set the tone for your soul, you set the tone in the world. Your calm moves outward in quiet waves. Your presence gives others permission to exhale. Your kindness changes the atmosphere, sometimes without a single word. This is how healing happens, not by force, not by fixing, but by frequency, your frequency of love. The tone of the soul shows up most clearly in relationships. So we pause and we notice. How did I enter into this conversation? Was I peaceful or was I angry? Was I defensive? Was I open? Was I curious? Or was I guarded? In Philippians 4:5, Paul offers a simple, powerful instruction. Let your gentleness be evidence to all. Gentleness is a tone. Kindness is a tone. Patience is a tone. Ernest Holmes reminds us, love points the way and the mind gives it wings. When we set our inner tone of love, our words soften. Our listening deepens and our presence becomes medicine. Not because we are trying to change anyone, but because we are anchored in truth, in love, in the quiet power of who we are. And that is how the world is healed. In closing, let's remember today, you are not here to perfect yourself. You are here to exist in the divine through your unique tone. And as you consciously set the tone for your soul, life responds, grace flows, and something within you gently says, yes, this is who I am. And so it is.